Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rotoworld Football Show. It's Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. That's the exact date. I knew it off the top of my head. I didn't have to glance down my calendar app on my computer. And I'm Patrick Daugherty, joined by Denny Carter. We're going to talk about the 49ers receiver core because what else is there ever to talk about? Shanny's mad at someone or someone's mad at Shanny. This time, Jauan Jennings. Listen, we're all for player empowerment, player power. Jauan Jennings had a good season once. And now he wants a new deal after getting a new deal last year, didn't he?
But he enters the season as their number one, and that's Shanahan's fault, by the way. He made that happen.
It is Shanahan's fault. So we'll talk about Jauan Jennings. We'll talk about Brandon Aiyuk, who may or may not be ready for week one. We'll talk about Garrett Wilson. The chatter, quote unquote, was beginning to build about Garrett Wilson. Will he even be with the Jets in 2026? It turns out he's going to be with the Jets through 2030, didn't he? Signed a new 4-year, $130 million contract. Sorry if you can hear the circular saw going in my yard. Then we'll talk about Breece Hall and the Jets offense. The Athletic says it will not shock him if the Jets went from last to first in terms of rushing attempts in 2025. Yeah. Denny insists we talk about the offensive line. Tristan Wirfs, he's out for the year for the Bucs. He claims it's going to mean something for the Bucs offense. Everyone else won't mean anything. Travis Hunter, the Athletic reporting we're going to get an offense-heavy start for the number two overall pick. A lot more, including Najee Harris, apparently injuring his eyes with fireworks, didn't he? But yeah, I said I'm Patrick Daugherty. You hadn't heard that in the show in 2 weeks because I was on vacation. Denny, that required going to the airport.
Yeah.
What I think is a lovely place, even though it actually cost us our guest for today's show. The airport has claimed Patrick Careen.
Yeah.
He was going to be on the show until horrible flight delays and cancellations. They claimed Pat Careen.
Yeah.
So
we're looking for him. We're looking strongly.
We're looking. He's lost in the USA. But I actually like the airport. Unpopular opinion. How do you feel about the airport, Denny?
Yeah, I mean, your take. It's just a terrible take. I don't know. What do you? I like the airport. I mean, it's a bad place. Here's the one.
You don't like bustle. You don't like excitement.
Nope. Nope. No, thank you. One thing I will say about the airport. I started to appreciate the airport a little more, not much more, but a little more as a father, because it was a place where you can have some gosh dang peace. You can go and you can have a beer like in the middle of the day and no one's going to judge you or ask you, why are you having a beer at 12?
To be honest, I do judge the airport beer people.
Well, you're the only one. No one else is judging. Everybody else is slamming shots in the middle of the afternoon behavior, because this is a rule-free zone.
It is.
Between real life and between the real life you're leaving and the real life you're going to, rule-free zone in the airport. Do whatever you want, okay? It is, including beers at lunch. So I do appreciate that. But mostly I'm stressed out. I'm worried. I'm wondering, am I going to survive to get to my destination? This is not something you think about?
No, it used to be, but I've been flying a lot more as I've gotten older the past 10 or 15 years, where I used to even have slight turbulence fear. I was one of those people where there was a little bump in the plane. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, no,
my heart rate would elevate
right away.
That's gone. All airport stress for me is gone in terms of getting there. I'm a late airport guy.
And you stress me out when we're traveling, not together, of course, but in the same trip. And you're like, yeah, I'm gonna leave 45 minutes before my trip.
I leave about 80 minutes before the plane takes off. Came back to bite us real hard last week in South Texas. Let me tell you, I was coming back from South Padre Island, which requires driving to a little town by the name of Harlingen. And it's about a 50, 60-minute drive, about 58 minutes, according to the GPS. We, of course, left far too late because this is what we do. But the plan was going fine. The scam was going totally fine until the final 5 miles of the little highway that connects the interstate were obstructed by a house that was being moved and blocking both lanes. And so then I got into panic, Kevin McCulley, rushing into the gate, running mode. We got getting late baggage tags and everything. But that's kind of the price you pay for airport relaxation, is that once every 10 times you're going to get the shock of the scare of your life. But it makes the other 9 times worth it, where you get there late right before your flight's about to take off and you don't ever worry. You don't worry about a thing.
Do you do it? So you do it for the thrill of the ride, of being just running to the plane as it's taking off. This is something you enjoy.
No, I do it because my wife can't be early.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Yeah.
I grew up in one of those families, like the stereotypical Midwestern family. There's been about 14 Onion articles written exactly about my dad.
Okay.
Getting to the airport 4 hours early.
I know we have to get off the airport. The one thing I don't love about the airport is having to put the tag on my own bag.
Yeah. What do they do any service anymore?
No,
you really can't put the tag. You think I know how to put the tag on the bag? Sure, it's quote the easiest thing ever. You think
so? I don't know if it's just my man-related learned helplessness or what it is, but I can't figure it out, and so I have to say, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, ma'am. Can you please help me do this because I can't figure it out, and I'm kind of getting late, and I'm kind of getting panicky. I hate that part of the process."
Well, that's the thing. There's no figuring it out. So I know how to do it, but then I always like crinkle it or something. And if I put it on the top, like it goes on the side, idiot.
Yeah,
put it on the side, like it goes in the top. You ever done this before? Like,
yes. It's simple. Didn't you go to school for this? No.
By the way, you don't like just needing a 16-ounce bottle of water and they only have 40-ounce bottles? You don't like that? Can we get real water brands in some of these airports? Some airports you go in and they have like an entire wall of like Aquafina or Dasani or whatever. I like that. When I drink bottled water, you just give me one of the water brands I've heard of. Instead, there's always like a weird, it just says like mineral on it. It doesn't say mineral water or anything. It just says the word mineral. That seems like a weird brand.
Right. Or just like the state of Colorado on it.
Yeah. And why is it 48 ounces? I just want a 16-ounce water. Because, of course, you don't let me bring my real water through security. But we didn't bring the real topics until just now. We're not talking at the airport anymore. This very unfocused airport talk. But I like the hustle. I like the bustle. I like the excitement. And you're wrong.
It's true.
You don't.
I do, but folks, it's true. Pat's told me this 100 times, so it's not like a bit. Like he actually is into it.
And you know who likes hustle and bustle is the 49ers receiver core, where nothing is ever allowed to be normal. Denny, nothing. So they got rid of Deebo Samuel. Like this is going to make things normal. It did not at all. Brandon Aiyuk, uncertain injury return timeline. Jauan Jennings again, like had one good season. And instead of just being happy with having one good and getting paid, they actually did pay him is what is like really like shocking about this one. And they paid him for last year. Everyone made fun of them for paying him. Yeah. And then he went out and had a good year. One good season though, had a good season once. Instead of changing the pronunciation of his name, he's now trying to change his contract. And what is the state of play here? Are you any more interested in Aiyuk? Because we've been joking a lot on the show, not really joking. Jauan Jennings is kind of the number one. But now, right as he's saying he might hold out, they're saying, well, Aiyuk might actually be ready for week 1 after all.
They're going to play this game. Aiyuk has almost no chance to be ready for week 1.
I agree.
From everything that we're reading. So we're talking about PUP list, which means at least 4 weeks of Jennings being the number one. So they're trying.
Okay, first off, stop saying. We got to stop saying this just to like as a matter of course, as like a meme, as a bit. He's the favorite to be the number one. Do you really just take it as an article of faith? Jauan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, a second-year first-rounder who finished last season on a heater, does exist any. But you think he's not in the mix whatsoever to be the number one?
I mean, Ricky Pearsall's not. I mean, he's a fake first-rounder.
Everyone knows that.
He's a fake first-rounder.
So they're all every 49. Debo's a fake second-rounder. Ayuk's a fake first-rounder. Jauan Jennings a fake late-career breakout. It's all fake. Everyone knows that. But that doesn't mean Pearsall can't be then a fake number one.
I will say everything in the Shanahan system is totally fake.
It's all fake. It's all fake. Except for Kittle. He has one guy who's not fake. And so with Kittle.
And he won't give him the ball.
Exactly. He has one guy who's just good on his own. And then he actually, I know, this is the system, the coverage dictated that day. Like, no, it didn't do.
Right. Shanahan loves to make mid players great, and then he gets a great player, and he tries desperately to make him mid.
He gets a Hall of Famer who he makes him earn his targets in the flow of the offense.
Right. The ball. Kittle, who on another team in another lifetime on another timeline may be the greatest tight end to ever play.
Yes.
Here he's being asked to block for the RB4. Anyway, Jennings is the clear number one. 26. He was targeted on 26% of his routes last year.
Clear means? Crazy. And I know you don't know what clear means in the airport. You don't have clear.
That's crazy. No. Pearsall is just a guy, just running around the intermediate areas.
Just a guy?
He's just a guy.
A guy?
He's not
really? That seems strong.
Did you see we had a blurb actually? Jacob Cowing could be the new Debo, and the media won't talk about it except for the media that reported on that possibility. So, I mean, they got to throw somebody in there on 3 receiver sets, and Cowing would make sense. I'm taking Jennings. I'm being greedy about Jennings, certainly in best ball, because there's just no way. They're trying to create leverage. I know you know that. There's no leverage to be had. They have to have this guy.
Well, I mean, listen, we joke about this, but it's kind of not a joke. That like Shanny is nothing if not vengeful. Like if we get like a 2-week hold in from Jauan Jennings, are we really that confident that Shanny just might not make Jacob Cowling happen, or might not make Ricky Pearsall like the true blue number 1? Are you worried about the Shanny revenge factor on his own player?
I do.
We just got this last year. Like for 2 months, like Brandon Aiyuk can't get him the ball. Can't get him the ball because Brandon Aiyuk insisted on getting paid, and then they mysteriously could not get him the ball. Then for 2 months.
Well, for a while last year, every time I logged on, there was new breaking video of Shanahan yelling at Aiyuk in practice because Aiyuk was wearing the wrong shorts or the wrong socks or whatever. And that, by the way, folks, I'm not joking. That is actually something that happened. So. We know Shanahan does not like Aiyuk. We know Aiyuk does not like being on the team. I could imagine a scenario where Aiyuk takes his sweet time. Say, you know what?
That's true.
I hurt my knee pretty late last season. I'm waiting until Halloween to fire it up.
Well, Denny, it could be even too, like honestly, not like from a vengeful perspective, but there's some coaches, some teammates or players like I got to get back, or they rush back too quickly. Where Aiyuk could just genuinely be in the mindset of he's not going to slow play his rehab, but he's just going to actually do his rehab right. And like, why would I rush back and risk further injury for Kyle Shanahan when he treats me this way? I guess that actually is a real risk of Brandon Aiyuk.
Right. He treats me like I'm replaceable because that's his thing. That's his thing. By the way, I'm being very critical of Shanahan. I'm
not a good coach at all, except for he's really good. But
I've been on the record on this show saying that I think he's the best coach in the NFL. So that
it's annoying. He's not the best. He is the best. He's the best at impacting the game on his side of the ball.
What else do you want from a coach?
Well, you still have to impact the whole 53-man roster. He does not do that in the way that Sean McVay does. Yeah. Sean McVay, Andy Reid, I guess you basically have to call the best coach. Sean McVay is the most like Bill Belichick. Where I feel like he impacts like all 53 players in the roster.
Right.
Shanny does not impact all 53 players.
But do you say that because McVay is jacked? No. I mean, I feel like if McVay wasn't so jacked, you might not say. People might be like, "Oh, he's just an offensive guy," but he's now a defensive guy because he has huge pecs and biceps.
He's a defensive guy because he cycles through defensive coordinators, and it doesn't even matter. Like it's clearly, honestly, kind of like some guys like Pete Carroll. Or Jim Harbaugh. People never wanted to accept this about Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll set the tone on both sides of the ball.
He did.
Jim Harbaugh sets the tone on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. Sean McVay sets the tone on both sides of the ball. Not a single soul is claiming that Kyle Shanahan sets the tone on both sides.
Shanahan is not reading all that.
No, he does not care.
No.
So what are we talking about?
Yeah, we're talking about Jennings, Jauan Jennings. Jauan Jennings is going to just eat up targets, whether or not Aiyuk is in the lineup. I honestly think that it has gotten to the point with Aiyuk and Shanahan creating Jennings as like an every down receiver that Jennings could just straight up outproduce Aiyuk, even head to head over however long Aiyuk is in the lineup when he comes back from his injury.
Well, what if Shanny just then uncreates Jauan Jennings? Because he liked Jauan Jennings when like no one else thought he was good.
When he
blocked.
Deal. When he was remember that was his reputation was great downfield blocker, a dog, right? And then he was rewarded with a few targets, and he was like, "Oh, hey, this guy can do a lot with a few targets," and he got more. I don't know. I just feel like Jennings is Shanny's guy. I don't see him seeking revenge. They'll do something fancy in order for Jennings to save face. You know how they do that with players, where they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we'll add like $1 million to your
they might do that
to this year's salary," and it looks like a win. They did that with Eckler.
I will just say between wide receiver 34 for Jennings, wide receiver 41 for Pearsall, wide receiver 49 for Aiyuk, I like the Jennings ADP the least by far.
The least?
The least. He just turned 28. He's had one good year. Now we're treating him as like a set and forget wide receiver 3 when there's 2 first rounders directly by him on the depth chart. 2 first rounders behind him at ADP. Like, are we really doing this?
Maybe I'm overreacting. I was to call me a Jennings doubter last year is underselling it. I completely dismissed him. And he burned me so bad every single week. So I guess I'm just capitulating here.
Yeah, well, that's Shanny word. Nothing ever lasts for longer than a year.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Shanny needs to remember that every time he pays someone, he needs to remember he's just not going to like them anymore.
He does get really mad when they have to pay.
He gets so mad about that. So we'll see. 49ers situation we're going to be updating all summer. We're not going to have to update the Garrett Wilson situation anymore. There was getting to be like a lot of speculation about Garrett Wilson's future, but no more speculation. He's a New York Jet through 2030, 4 years, $130 million. Listen, we probably underrate Garrett Wilson. Not sure if I associate him with $130 million. $90 million guaranteed. But the Jets, Denny, kind of between a rock and a hard place because the Jets receiver depth chart is Garrett Wilson and then something that just says file missing. There's nothing there. You ask the Google AI, who is the Jets' number 2 receiver, and it just comes up with something about Wayne Corbett.
Yeah.
Is he still currently on the team? Something like that. They don't have a number 2 receiver. He now has peace of mind. He also has a college teammate returning to play with him, Justin Fields, someone he seems to have a really strong connection with after he could not have had less of a connection with Aaron Rodgers. Say what you will about Justin Fields. He's better than Zach Wilson. He's better than Tim Boyle, better than Joe Flacco, whoever. I don't remember who else made starts for this team. Mike White the past 3 years.
Wow.
But he's been high floor, Garrett Wilson. We've yet to see ceiling. 3 straight years of 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards, never 1,200 though. Are we going to get another level to Garrett Wilson's game, or is he kind of one player where there's no real difference between his floor and his ceiling?
No difference between good and bad things. I don't think there's a ceiling just because of the nature of this offense. The beat writers are saying they're going to go from the fewest rushing attempts in 2024 to probably the most.
You just ruined the next topic.
I did. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Well, that definitely factors in.
We'll talk about it in a minute.
And so Garrett Wilson has been a product of massive eye-watering volume for most of his career. And that's paid off in some ways. He's top 10 in receiving yards and top 8 in receptions since entering the league in 2022. You can't take that away from him. I think he should be fine at his ADP, but he's not someone who I'm reaching for or who I feel like can, be a solid, like unquestioned wide receiver 1 in fantasy. Maybe top 12, but nothing really beyond that.
You say you're not reaching for him as ADP. It's wide receiver 16. You're absolutely right that there's no way his target share. Well, not his target share. Man, what was the point I'm trying to make? The Jets' overall passing volume is going to crater. Everyone knows this. High attempts offense.
It's a big deal.
But Justin Fields is not a high attempts passer. They keep talking about having 3 running backs. The overall volume is coming back down to earth. It's just last year, Garrett Wilson was splitting that volume with Devontae Adams.
Right.
That's splitting it with he's not even splitting it with Tyler Conklin anymore. They have the rookie tight end, Mason Taylor. I just think the overall volume depression isn't going to affect his target share, obviously. And I think his volume, just in particular, is going to remain just prodigious. Because who else can they throw the ball to? There's no one.
Okay. All right. So what you're saying, and I think that this checks out, is that, okay, you chop off a bunch of actual dropbacks and pass attempts out of this offense. That goes without saying. But if he sees a 35+% target share, that can counteract that loss of raw volume. So I can buy into that. I've always been kind of a skeptic of Garrett Wilson, and I feel like you could do better at that around that ADP. Do you have the ADP pulled up?
It's wide receiver 16 for Garrett Wilson.
Who's around him?
You hint at a fear that I have about Garrett Wilson, by the way, where there's no target competition whatsoever. Sometimes that's good. Other times it's bad. There are some guys who are not meant to be the exact focal point, like the only thing the opposing defense has to worry about, basically.
Yeah.
Like it could be if Garrett Wilson is getting bracketed a lot. Like, is he talented enough to beat that coverage? that is something I worry about with Garrett Wilson. He's the wide receiver 16, Denny. 14, T. Higgins. 15, Marvin Harrison. I mean, come on.
I know.
Yeah, stop.
I'm taking Wilson over Harrison.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson easily there. Wide receiver 17 is Devontae. 18, McLaurin. 19, JSN. 13 is Tyreek Hill. Let's just do this real quick.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 12, Rashee Rice. Wide receiver 16, Garrett Wilson.
Rice.
Man. All right.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know, man. The best ball guys and the Chiefs receivers. I don't know.
I know. You
only in best ball, only in fantasy football, not to single out the best ball, but only in fantasy football can a guy suffer a devastating knee injury and then his ADP is higher the following year.
It is crazy.
Truly only in fantasy football is that like an area where that could happen.
It didn't used to be.
Quite literally, it's the only area it can happen. Yeah, I get it. All right. I'm talking about a phenomenon that quite literally only exists in fantasy football. But this has been a little rich for me all summer that ADP higher after knee more injury.
Okay. I read something that was illuminating about the Rashee Rice injury today, which was that he did not tear his ACL. He tore his LCL, which is actually good.
Interesting. All right.
And it's
Xavier Worthy was actually good down the stretch.
I know.
Marquise Brown is now actually healthy, except
the whole KC pass catcher thing is breaking my brain right now because, Worthy's in there, Kelsey's back, Hollywood Brown was targeted on like the crazy per route rate. Like I don't know who's going to emerge. I don't know if Rashee Rice is going to return to that like dominance, but I do like him at wide receiver 12.
I will say in these brain-breaking situations, you can't just sit on the fence, especially when you're drafting as like a professional, as a lot of these best ball people are. You do have to take a stand. They have taken a stand on Rashee Rice. It's probably the most sensible play still in this Chiefs skill core, but man, I don't know. Just tearing up your knee and then your ADP going higher the next year, that makes me nervous. But Tyreek Hill, wide receiver 13, Garrett Wilson, wide receiver 16.
Tyreek.
T. Higgins, wide receiver 14. How are we still doing this, man?
I mean, he's going to be a top 12 guy. That's just
top 12 guy for 10 weeks.
You have to accept it. He is a red zone dominator. I don't know what to say. I mean, his air yard stuff.
I'm looking at Pro Football. I'm just looking at his normal stats. He's Garrett Wilson with the longer track record. He's never even had 1,100 yards.
Sorry, man. I know. Look, I want to deny the T. Higgins phenomenon.
Do it.
I can't.
You have a funny way of not denying it. I'm giving you a chance right now, and you're not doing it.
The spreadsheets say I cannot. He's a thing. The Bengals love him for some reason. He's going to be there forever. He's going to cap Jamar Chase. It stinks. I know. But he's there.
He does that for 10 to 11 games is the key.
I know. He's going to, of course, he's going to, and look, he got paid. So we're talking hamstring injury off the bat this year.
He's going to miss most of camp with a lower body injury.
Yeah.
And he's going to come back for week 1 and he'll be out of shape for a few weeks. But whatever. That's enough on Garrett Wilson. We talked a lot about Breece Hall. But as you mentioned, the Athletic Zach Rosenblatt has been on the Jets beat a really, really long time. Said his quote was, "It would not shock me if the Jets went from last to first in terms of rushing attempts in 2025." And we're talking about, Garrett Wilson can counteract the loss of overall volume in the offense just by a mega target share and lack of target competition. Could Breece Hall counteract, a lack of carry share, whatever you want to call it? They keep talking about having a 3-back backfield despite the sheer increase in rushing volume. Is that something that kind of heartens us with Breece Hall? Someone we've been worried about a lot this summer because the coach quotes have been very interesting on Mr. Breece Hall. What do you think, Denny?
I would say yes if we had a traditional drop back quarterback under center for the Jets, but we don't. We have Justin Fields, who is by a lot of measures the most effective rusher in the NFL. Like as far as like yards after contact and all that stuff, like it's crazy. Okay, so there's no real reason for Justin Fields to check it down, and he doesn't, and traditionally he has not. That makes me just reticent to say, okay, Breece Hall can get it back on the receiving end.
I don't mean on the receiving end. Could Breece Hall have a career high for carries this year? Because let's see here, carries never eclipsed 223. That's not that high of a bar to have to clear. 223 carries in 17 games 2 years ago. 209 carries in 16 games last year. I don't think it takes a whole lot of imagination to envision Breece Hall getting to 250 carries unless they just absolutely love Braylon Allen, which it seems like they
do. It seems like they do. That's what I mean. There's been way too much Braylon Allen talk for my taste. Like, all of his metrics are horrible, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, my most confident take in football is that running back performance doesn't matter. So Braylon Allen doesn't matter.
Looking up who won the Super Bowl last year. All right.
No. What I mean is to coaches.
Oh yeah, no, doesn't matter at all.
No.
Sorry.
Not that running backs don't matter. Yeah. That's not the case. But
coaches don't care. No.
But coaches, they've never looked at anything. Yards per carry, rush yards over expect nothing. Right? So Braylon Allen, big guy, big muscles. We're gonna give him the ball, right? That's just
the AJ Dillon principle.
Yeah, right. Look at this. Who's gonna tackle this guy?
Look at this guy.
Look at his pecs. Look at the triceps.
The look at this guy principle is very strong.
Right. Yeah. Look at this guy metric. He's off the charts.
Yeah, he is.
Not good, but that won't matter. So I do feel like Braylon Allen is gonna mess things up for Breece Hall this year.
Breece Hall currently the RB12. I am comfortable with him in that ADP. But far lower than it's been the past few years. Breece Hall, I'm only going to ask you one. Breece Hall, RB12, your guy, Chase Brown, RB11.
Oh, man. It's Chase Brown.
I think it's probably Chase Brown. Man, actually, on the clock, I think I'm taking Breece Hall.
He's going to catch so many passes.
Speaking of on the clock, I'm on the clock for a promo. We'll be right back after this. The greatest golfers in the world take on the unrelenting elements of Northern Ireland in pursuit of the Claret Jug. It's the Open Championship live on NBC USA and streaming on Peacock. Tune in all week at 7 a.m. Eastern, including the final rounds on Saturday and Sunday. I absolutely love the Open Championship. Yeah. I'm going to be missing some of it for wedding season.
It's going to be nasty, too, the British Open. I know the UK folks
suffer. God, they have to suffer.
I know the UK folks don't like Americans call it the British Open. Guess what? It's the British Open. We have to distinguish between the US Open and the British Open, so we call it the British Open. Anyway, rain, wind, cold temperatures. Okay, still the sun has never shone during the British Open, and it still will not shine.
What you just described then is some totally random guy winning.
Oh yeah,
some totally random guy.
Right, someone from the DP World Tour who hasn't made the cut since May. He's going to win easily.
He's going to win very, very easily. Not a joke, not a bit. I will be watching all weekend long on NBC USA and Peacock. It's always such a spectacle in the best possible way. Denny, spectacle for the Bucs offense is the loss of the offensive line anchor Tristan Wirfs, I believe, for the entire season, correct? Stop me if I'm wrong there.
Not the whole season.
You trying to pretend this matters? Not even the whole season.
All right, let me take.
It doesn't matter at all. Denny, the thesis, Denny, is that Tristan Wirfs being out is going to somehow affect the Bucs passing attack. Maybe even when he has good protection, doesn't care. Like you just but make your case.
Okay, here's my case. So just as you can tell, me and Rotopat are on opposite sides of the spectrum on this Tristan Wirfs injury. And usually, I'm not one. I mean, we have a running bit. We never heard of an offensive lineman, right? We have no idea who they are. I've heard of this one. And the reason is because he's the best tackle in football. Part of the success of the Bucs offense last year was pass protection. They were elite. Pro Football Focus graded the Bucs as the second best pass blocking unit on the season. Baker Mayfield was pressured at a league low rate of 24%. Tristan Wirfs allowed one quarterback hit all season last year.
Wow.
That's wild. And obviously PFF graded him as the best, not just the best pass blocking tackle, but the best pass blocking offensive lineman total in the NFL. So this is a loss. And I feel here's why
hold on. So I was out of town last week. I was trying to read the news. I wasn't reading it that closely. The report is just at least the first couple of games of the season.
No. It's not that. It's not that. That's garbage. That's garbage. That was the first report was he might miss a couple games, and then it was he's probably going to land on PUP, which means 4 games at least.
Does mean 4.
He underwent surgery in July. Okay, so I'm sorry, but I'm not buying the he might be ready for week 1 or 2. No, he's going on PUP. He's not going to be ready till October. I'm just saying that this offense is based on protecting Baker Mayfield and giving him a clean pocket. And if he doesn't have that, he might not do well. But then I looked at Baker's stats And Baker completely destroyed my argument. Looked at it right before the show. And here's what I found. Only three quarterbacks last year had a better yards per attempt when under pressure. And only one quarterback had a better completion rate. So it
doesn't matter.
So what the argument here is that the Wirfs injury is good for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Watch out.
What I do think it speaks to, Denny, is Baker, regardless of how good or bad his protection is, plays absolutely fearless. I think to your point, it's probably going to have a real bad real life effect. More picks, more fumbles, maybe in those games because more hits for sure. But I do just think we won't really feel the effects in fantasy. And I feel a lot better knowing he's going to be back in October. So even if he could come back and they're like 2-3 and the season's kind of over, but we don't care about that.
No. I want to be clear. I do not care about the Tampa Bay Bucs 2025 season. I do care about Baker Mayfield being able to sit there and bounce around and find his guys, on time. But it's just I do think that in fantasy we tend to overlook these sort of offensive line injuries where it's like, oh, they lost a guy they're paying $1.7 billion this year. Maybe we should pay attention.
Key to the entire environment, and absolutely critical point that you make, where even I fall victim to this all the time. We pay so much attention to the skill player injuries. You do have to pay attention to these really critical environmental offensive line injuries, kind of thing we will hopefully be updating a lot on rotoworld.com in August. Sometimes we don't always get the reports we really want in training camp. They're especially cagey on guys like offensive linemen where it's just not as visible. But hopefully we're getting some good Tristan Wirfs updates in August, Denny. We're getting lots of updates on Travis Hunter, and all of them are that he's amazing and that you're wrong. The Athletics' Jacob Robinson says to expect, quote, an offense-heavy start for Travis Hunter. This is updating how over is it for you, Denny? Travis Hunter currently the wide receiver 30 on Underdog Summer Best Ball Drafts.
So by the way, the reason Pat's having construction done in his yard is because they're actually putting in a dollar store because they looked at his best ball portfolio and decided that they were just going to get into it preemptively. They're going to build on mine because I'm just passing this guy. I'm passing Travis Hunter every time in best ball drafts. I
am too. I mean, listen, you lay out the case first.
It's just too high up, man. Like, it'd be one thing if there's like no Brian Thomas there and like this guy's just going to get every opportunity. But I'm sorry, even if he runs like 80% of the routes or something, he's still going to have to fight for targets for one of like the best receivers in the NFL. That makes a difference to me. I am calling Jimmy Gladstone, the GM of the Jaguars, every day, and I'm saying, "Are you sure you don't want to play this guy on defense a little more? He was one of the best cornerbacks in the nation. You might as well use him on defense," because I'm tilting about it. I'm nervous that I'm going to be proved a fool here.
We have a viewer, by the way, asking, "Is it a Dollar Tree, a Family Dollar, or a Dollar General?" It's a Dollar Zone. A regional dollar store chain, a Dollar Zone. They identified apparently it was really good real estate in my area.
Yeah, a Dollar Zone where, by the way, everything's $5 now.
Yeah, I know it's $5.29. Yeah. They somehow settled on $5.29. But wide receiver 30 for Travis. I just share all your same concerns. Where it'd be one thing if we didn't have one of the most impressive rookie seasons in like the past 5 or 6 years for a wide receiver last year for Brian Thomas and. Yeah, like totally new coach, totally new system. I guess it's almost an advantage for Travis Hunter in that regard, where he was going to learn a new system regardless. Maybe that gives him a leg up on some of the other guys, but just wide receiver 30 for the two-way player who's never played in the NFL.
It's a lot to ask.
It's just so much to ask. It's so.
Let's play the game. Who's going around him? Which receivers are going around
him? Wide receiver 31, Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers or Travis Hunter, Denny?
Zay Flowers.
Zay too. I actually hate to agree, but wide receiver 32 is almost comical how quickly you're going to hit, except on the other Calvin Ridley.
Oh man, I actually feel like peer pressure not to say Ridley, because I feel like every Zoomer in the world is going to tell me that I'm taking the washed guy over the most exciting vibes-based guy ever. But Ridley,
it's Ridley for sure. I hate to say it, and we have another guy. We'll just get into this one right now. There's a drumbeat of praise for this player coming out of training camp. The media loves him. The new coaching staff seems to love him. Rome Odunze, currently the wide receiver 33. What is the drumbeat of praise for him? A guy that did not have an impressive rookie year, but had just an awful offensive environment. Keenan Allen is gone. Ben Johnson is in. So is Luther Burden and Colston Loveland. What is this drumbeat of praise for Rome Odunze? And eventually we'll get to would you rather have him or Travis Hunter?
Okay, I'll answer the first thing first. Ben Johnson said in May that he was very impressed, extremely impressed, I should say, with Rome Odunze and his work ethic and his understanding of the offense and all that stuff. So that's good. I mean, it really does matter, that sort of thing. Whereas with DJ Moore, it was like, this guy's got to adjust his attitude. And that's not what we'd like to hear. So Odunze ran super cold because Caleb Williams was so inaccurate on downfield passes last year. Odunze was top 20 in air yards and was outside the top 40 in actual receiving yards, the kind that you can feed your family.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how you get dollar zones built in your yard.
Oh man, you're getting at least $1 zone in your yard if you had Odunze. And I had Odunze everywhere last year. So, the opportunity should be there. Hopefully Caleb Williams is not as bad. And I think that's probably, you can probably bank on that. Am I taking him over Travis Hunter?
Wide receiver 30, Travis Hunter, wide receiver 33, Rome.
I'm going to ruin the bid. I'm going to go with Hunter.
That one, I just don't know. And this is where I benefit from being mostly only a home league guy. I'm not trying to build a huge best ball portfolios or whatever. I do best ball drafts, but it's really just to try to stay sharp, try to stay abreast of ADP. Right. And when you're quote unquote only a home league drafter, I'm of course like in 10 or 12 managed leagues, I should say. You can kind of just ignore situations that you don't want to deal with. And I just don't want to deal with the Bears situation because I don't know how good Rome Odunze is. I think Caleb Williams is probably good, but we don't know how good Caleb Williams is. I have no clue what they're doing with Luther Burden and Colston Loveland. Yeah. Just such a crowded house for just an offense, that wasn't good last year. Like, let's make it even more crowded. Like, they lost Keenan Allen and somehow made it more crowded. And I'm not tackling this Bears situation if I don't have to. And the reality is, and I'm only doing 10 or 12 managed leagues, I don't really have to tackle it. So I'm kind of punting on this situation to other people.
I mean, I'm going to just use the cop out and say Odunze is better in best ball.
Yeah, no, that actually, he's the archetype.
Yeah,
for sure.
Right. I mean,
because there's going to be big games.
There are, yes. And if you're going with the Bears stack, which is pretty easy, you get Caleb Williams, you can throw Odunze in there easily along with Burden or Moore, I would say, and then maybe even Colston Loveland. Good stack.
What's going on here? Colston Loveland, the Bears.
By the way, Colston Loveland, I saw some video of him running around.
Uh-oh.
My man looks small.
Really?
He does.
I was led to believe he was huge.
I mean, I don't know. What I mean small is like skinny. He looks skinny.
I will say we're underrating. I tried to overrate this earlier. We're underrating the possibility Ben Johnson's a total disaster.
Oh man,
there's just such strong Josh McDaniels vibes with him.
I can't accept that. I mean, as an analytics community, we have suffered body blow after body blow with our guys. He could, if he doesn't succeed here, that's the end of analytics.
The only reason he might not succeed is if he was a Dan Campbell creation, because I do think we underrate Dan Campbell, but he could just be the absolute classic Josh McDaniels, maybe Mike McDaniel. But dude's an offensive coordinator. Dude's not a leader of men.
Right.
Dude is not a 1-53 type.
I don't know. He seems to.
He's off to a really good start, I will admit. Where he's been setting a tone I was not expecting from him.
Right. I mean, you have to be. I'm trying to watch my language here, but you have to be kind of a jerk.
You have to be kind of a hard ass. You just do.
Right. And he seems to be that. And
he does.
So he might be able. I mean, you knew.
Seems a little more earned with him. Not that he's like some big imposing guy, but Josh McDaniels, when he comes in, like Josh McDaniels come in and dog cuss us for 10 minutes. Like, how could you be sitting? You couldn't even be mad. You're like, who's this guy?
Yeah, right.
What? You're Josh McDaniels. Just stop.
Yeah, you're Brady Merchant.
Josh McDaniels is gonna dog cuss me. Like, just stop.
I mean, like stop. You knew, like you saw Matt Eberflus talk once, and you're like, oh well, that guy's done. That guy's done.
Yeah.
Zero chance.
This segment is over. We'll be right back after this. Tune in to the Tour de France daily recap at 7 p.m. Eastern on the NBC Sports Now channel and enjoy extended highlights and stage previews with special episodes of Beyond the Podium. The The NBC Sports Now channel is available on Peacock, Samsung TV, the Roku channel, and more. Visit NBCSports.com for more details. Talk about the spectacle of the British Open. I love the spectacle of the Tour de France. And I said France in the ad read. I kind of choked. I wanted to say France, but I didn't want to sound out of my element.
You felt fancy. You felt
too fancy. Feel fancy. I just had a thought. I was like, I'm not going to share this up, but then I am going to share it.
Okay, do it.
I will say with the Tour de France, I love it. It's kind of when they wreck, it's kind of cool as long as they don't get hurt. And there's so much spectacle in the Tour de France.
Well, it's when they wreck that you realize how fast they're
going. And also when they wreck, how they're like never hurt. Or they're like football players, like he broke his tibia, but he's going to finish the tour.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like you're watching them and you're like, oh, that seems like a reasonable speed, and then they wreck. And they wipe out insane. 30 people on the sideline, and like trees are falling down and stuff. And you're like, wait, how fast were they going? They're going 80 miles an hour?
Tour de France, total spectacle. Peacock, NBC, USA. Check it out. Denny, bad situation. The kind of thing we don't want to talk about on the show. We do have to talk about it. Quinshon Judkins arrested over the weekend. Very disturbing domestic violence charges. Everyone knows when that kind of thing happened, it's not the time to talk about fantasy. But eventually we have to confront the reality of the situation where there was a second-round pick. A lot of people have already drafted.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big part of the fantasy football landscape, just a big part of the football landscape, period, this fall for the Cleveland Browns. Now we have no idea. Commissioner's exempt list usually beckons in these situations.
Right.
He'll be paid, but he won't be playing. They'll wait for the legal process to play out. First off, is that kind of the mindset we're taking is just assuming Quinshon Judkins will not be out there to begin the year. And then if he's not, where does the work trickle down to?
I mean, I don't pretend to be, perfectly knowledgeable about all legal matters when it comes to the NFL, but I would say just from past experience that it seems unlikely that Judkins will be suited up and ready to go for week 1. That leaves a couple guys, Jerome Ford, who is just a guy, but seems to be a veteran who has Kevin Stefanski's trust. Anytime.
Boy, does he ever have his trust.
Yeah. Anytime that, the chips are down, the ball goes to Jerome Ford. Now, Ford last year. Jerry Ford, many are calling him. Insanely inefficient as a pass catcher. I'm talking like bottom barrel yards per route run. But he was 5th in yards after contact per rush last year, mostly due to 2 very long runs, I should say. But if you take away the long runs, he looked bad. I would think that he would probably be the RB1, just the de facto guy. But running back Dylan Sampson, fourth round draft pick by the Browns, a very productive guy in college. He had the 4th most offensive touches and the most missed tackles forced among Power 5 running backs last season. Small guy, but I think that could easily be a 1B to Ford's 1A.
Because that's one point here. Is Jerome Ford is the Browns' #1 running back to begin the season. There will be a letter attached to his depth chart.
That's right. Yeah.
He might even end up being the 1B. Maybe they decide he's not good enough. They can't pretend anymore. He will not just be the 1. There will be an A or a B there. And if that's the case, then Dylan Sampson becomes maybe a guy clearly they like, 4th round pick. Maybe they didn't want to throw him into the fire immediately, but now they might have no choice. And he could be a really, really intriguing 1B, change of pace back. Pierre Strong is still around, but he's the poor man's Jerome Ford, which you don't even want to be the normal Jerome Ford.
No.
Let alone the poor man's Jerome Ford. So Dylan Sampson, a guy that I think people were kind of excited about in dynasty leagues, we weren't really counting on, and redraft does become pretty interesting if this sorry situation results in Quinshon Judkins not playing football for a while.
Another trickle down effect of losing Judkins is the Browns could just be crazy, wildly pass heavy.
That's true.
And
That's
just
very,
completely
very
abandoned.
You never have to ask Stefanski twice for about
No.
He developed a reputation as kind of like a run game sophisticate, and he never has been.
Especially because, it depends on who you read, but it seems like Joe Flacco has, the edge.
Right. Cut his mic. Yeah.
Starting week. Wait, who's going to start week 1?
He's not going to start week 1. It's Pickett season.
Oh,
it's Pickett season.
Are you messing with me?
You got to justify it. There's some moves that need to be justified. They're going to feel the need to justify. Dude, literally trading for Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett is not going to be on the roster.
You might be right.
That's crazy. So, man, if it's Pickett, then I'm out on this offense completely. Yeah. Like, we need Flacco.
But you're in if it's Flacco?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Give me
I will say is my Jerry Jeudy Dynasty League quote bags really need Joe Flacco.
Those bags are in flames if two gloves Kenny is back there. Are you kidding?
Or God forbid Dylan Gabriel. Flacco or Shador. I think Shador will get the Jerry Jeudy memo if it's Shador.
Give me Here's who I want. I want Flacco first and foremost, and then give me Shador.
That's true.
We know both of those guys are drop back kings.
Denny, Najee Harris closing the show with this one, a weird one. I think you guys talked about some of this when I was gone, or maybe you didn't, where there was several days of internet chatter. Like, did Najee Harris suffer a severe eye injury with fireworks?
Referenced it, yeah.
He's since confirmed, yes, I did injure my eye with fireworks. He is claiming via his agent that it's, quote, superficial. They're not saying he's going to be ready for training camp, which is a bit concerning. With the heavy implications, he'll be back at some time in camp. In theory, that would be enough for a guy like Najee Harris, but in reality, there's a first-round running back, Omarion Hampton on the roster, a guy who I think one of the operating theories was just needs an opening. Like, give him an opening, and this won't even be a committee. Like, Najee will be a pure change of pace, breather back. Would this qualify as just getting Omarion Hampton an opening, or is it never that simple when it's someone like Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, two guys who love the run, two guys who went out and targeted Najee Harris in free agency?
Man, yeah, they were being so cagey about the details of Najee's eye situation that you read all the statements from the agent, from the team, and I came away and I thought, well, they're not telling us everything, and we're gonna
clearly not, clearly not,
and that's fine. I mean, that's their prerogative, but we are going to learn more. What'd you say?
I said HIPAA.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, I mean, there's that too.
Laughing at our rights.
And
we have quote unquote rights.
I think you're right, though. Hampton, this could be the window for Hampton. Like he could be able to seize like that lead back role in training camp and like really prove himself. I don't see Najee even as like a huge stumbling block anyway, because Hampton would seem to be the pass catching back. If he's not, then the whole theory goes out the door, because that's what you're looking for. Like, okay, Najee gets maybe some goal line stuff, but PPR wise, you want Hampton.
We're always looking for apples to apples comparisons. Eye injury or not, is it as simple as just saying Najee Harris is the new Gus Edwards, where might be a frustrating amount of change of pace, breather carries. Oftentimes it was 10 to 12 for Gus Edwards, but is that Najee's absolute ceiling? And maybe the floor, there are some weeks, Gus Edwards only got 6 to 8 carries. Is that the best way to view Najee Harris? That's certainly the way fantasy drafters are viewing the situation.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that sounds right. I think when game script is on their side, I think Najee Harris could see 10 touches of some kind. Unfortunately, some of those could be high leverage stuff, the touchdowns. That's tough, but also, Omarion Hampton's ADP sort of factors that in, right? I mean, otherwise he'd be going in the second round, at the top of the second round, and he's not. And so I think, you can take advantage of that, especially if you are fading, running backs in the first couple rounds. I think Hampton makes a lot of sense. It might be frustrating, but honestly, like, I'm not trying to say that like, I'm trying to take advantage of the eye injury, but there's stuff.
Sure sounds like it.
There's still stuff that we don't know. There's stuff we don't know, and it could be worse than what we're hearing.
That actually is true. That's something to keep in mind. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there to end the show. We're already a good setup for Omarion Hampton, and Najee Harris, a guy, if we wanted a truly meaningful role, couldn't give the impressive rookie an opening. He's now given him an opening. And maybe all this does is shore up what was already a really high ADP for Omarion Hampton.
Right.
Maybe we'll never know what would have happened if Najee hadn't gotten injured, but maybe now this makes what was kind of an aspirational ADP more realistic. Good way to end it is I hear, boy, they're getting really going on the dollar zone.
The dollar zone will be open Friday morning, folks.
It will be. Everything's $5.29. I don't know how they settle on that price. Some algorithm AI told them to make everything $5.29. Purdue Strata, is it too early to reveal? I think we're going to do a draft on Thursday. I just revealed it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Kyle Dvorak will be back joining us. Thank you so much for Kyle for filling in last week when I was gone on Tuesday. He's with us every Thursday. Denny will be with us Thursday. I'm Patrick Daugherty. Thanks for listening. Talk to you in 2 days.